Let me see what I got going on here now. Let me see. I got a whole list of questions. So what did you do for fun when you were little?
Oh, climbed the apple trees. And just played with the little wagon. And I had a brother older, 5 years older, and a brother 5 years younger. And they were just a nuisance to me. I mean, the oldest one, he didn't want to take care of me, and I didn't want to take care of the younger one. So I just didn't really have too much of a happy time until I, got old enough that I could get to school or something like that. And I never knew really how to play with kids.
Oh, you wasn't any friends around?
I started at school. I didn't want to go to school. Mom had trouble getting me to go to school because I didn't know how to play with kids.
Oh, that's weird. You didn't have any friends close by?
Huh?
You didn't have any friends close by?
Well, no, not really. There was no little kids, no families around that had kids my age.
Oh, wow.
And the closest one that I ever had to play with or spend any time with would have been Olive. And they lived back in those days. Of course, we didn't have cars to go visit, You just didn't visit and get close to people.
Mm. How far did Olive live away from you?
Oh, it must have been about probably 4 miles.
Well, that's quite a ways when you don't have much transportation.
It was a long ways, like to go to spend an evening or anything with.
Right. I mean, what did you use for transportation?
Well, I can know that. I know we had horses. We rode. The kids each had a horse to ride, and in the wintertime we went in sleds, bobsleds, and horses.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It was. I look at now. It would be fun, but then it wasn't because that's what you had to do.
Like driving the beat-up Chevy.
And then, of course, they didn't keep the roads open either,
Right.
They didn't, you just have to go back through the fields or just find your way there.
Well, that must have been interesting. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay. And what kind of toys did you play with? What kind of games did you play?
Kind of toys. Oh, I had a little wagon, and I don't know.
Any dolls?
I can't remember if we had to make our own toys. I suppose I don't know. About all I ever remember is I had a little wagon.
Did you just kind of carry the apples and stuff around in them?
Huh?
What did you carry in the wagon? Just anything?
I don't know. I can't remember. Yes.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember that we did.
Oh, that's cool. What kind of games did you guys play? Or did you not really...
When we got big enough, of course, when we were little, we were a nuisance. We would play checkers.
Checkers? How old were you when you learned how to play checkers?
And checkers and carom, have a checkerboard, and then there'd be a carom board.
What's a carom board?
The older people, they'd really play, but us kids, we'd think we were playing.
What is a carom board?
I don't know.
I mean,
not,
huh?
Probably not very much. I don't really know.
Oh, okay. What were your chores around the house?
Chores?
Yeah. Do you remember what you did?
I don't know if I had, I can't remember. I guess I had to, you don't laugh at this. I used to have to, we had a screen-in back porch. The flies would get in there, and that was one of my jobs was to kill the flies, get the flies out.
Sounds like one of my jobs when I was growing up.
And I remember my mom saying, now you can't kill them by hitting them once, you got to kill them, hit them 3 times before they're really dead. I can still remember her saying that.
Oh, that's funny.
And that screened-in porch is kind of on the south and east where the sun hits, you know, and them flies, they really liked it in there.
Yeah, especially if there was anything baked in there or whatever that they can get to. That's funny. So
I'm surprised we even had fly swatters, but we did.
Yeah, I've been moving around forever. They've been around since at least God's time, Jesus' time.
It was. In fact, I've got a bunch of fly swatters yet. And I have to get them out and get the flies yet. I guess they said that God created them to aggravate man, and I guess he did a good job.
They keep him on his toes. Oh, that's funny. What was your house like that you grew up in?
I guess when folks first moved there, they lived in an old house, but I don't remember that, and I'm not so sure whether they lived in that before I was born, or whether they had the place that they bought was from my granddad.
It was from your granddad?
My Grandpa Darner.
That was the
Grandpa Darner in his early days was a wealthy man.
That was your grandfather?
That would be my grandfather, yes. He was a wealthy man, but then he kind of took a little extra liking to one of these boys, which was not too dependable, and got him in, and my grandpa lost everything he had. So my folks, they had bought this one small place from my grandpa earlier, and then it just had an old house on, and then they built a new house on it after they were there. But I never could ever, and I should have found out while Lowell or somebody was still living, whether they built the new house before I was born or whether it was after. I never will know, I guess.
So what was the house like that you lived in?
It was the same house that's there today. Big.
Roomy? A lot of rooms in it?
You know, we drove by there when you were out here. It was that same house.
Wow. Neat.
Yeah. I don't know really how old it is because I don't know whether they had that before I was born or after I was born, but around that time. So it's not a new house.
Was it heated at the time?
Yes, we had a coal furnace. The new house did. The new house had a coal furnace.
And did it have running water?
Oh, no.
What did you do for water?
I never heard of such running water. We had a well, a pump right outside the back door, but that water wasn't very good. And then over by some of the barns, there was a well that the water was better. And my dad would carry water from that well over and heat it to wash water because it was softer, better water. And he'd always carry all that water over when we go to wash the night before. He'd carry, when Mom was going to wash, he'd carry a whole bunch of water over and fill everything up.
That's cool. That must have been a chore and a half itself just doing that.
They evidently, eventually got running water. And of course, there was electricity to start from a long time.
Right. When did you first get electricity there?
I just don't really remember when we did. I suppose I was...
We've had it for so long, we feel like you probably had it forever.
I suppose I can remember when we got the first radio, and I was probably about 10 years old then, 25. I suppose around probably 1930 or so before they ever got electricity there. And then, let's see. I know when we were married, I had electricity in the house that we moved in, which is the first time I'd ever been in a place where there was electricity.
And what year did you get married?
Yeah, that I got married.
If it What year was that?
Whoa, let's see.
Think back.
Well, that I don't know. 37? Does that sound right?
That probably is close. We thought you were 1914 when you were born, so.
Close enough.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay, electricity. Cool. It's hard for me to even think about not living somewhere with, there's no electricity. I mean, the old farmhouse we grew up in, that had an outhouse off the back of it, but it didn't have electricity.
Of course, there's no running water. I remember even when I was in college, we didn't have running water yet because my roommate went home with me one weekend, and we had to go to the outhouse to the bathroom, and she didn't know. I'd never seen such a thing.
You're kidding.
Because she lived in town.
Oh, so they had running water there.
Yeah.
They had the fancy stuff.
Yeah, she lived in town. Her dad was a grocery man, and they had everything,
Oh.
But, but she called that the outhouse, the ice house. When we'd go out to the bathroom, I should say.
Yeah, I guess if you freeze your buns off, it might be.
The ice house.
She probably said she's freezing her buns. It might be an ice house.
That's about what it was.
Well, you didn't have any electricity. What was your stove and that kind of stuff that you cooked off from?
Huh?
What did you cook off from?
Was it without electricity?
Yeah.
Oh, we'd cook on coal stoves. And then we did have, there was such things as little, what did we call them, oil stoves, where we'd have maybe, like about 2 or 3 burners that we would have an oil, like kerosene oil or something like that, and use that for quick fire,
Oh.
But other in the cook stoves, the big cook stoves, like we would burn coal or cobs. Cobs was the best thing. Because then it would get hot quick and then it'd go out fast. And, it didn't keep your kitchen hot either.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about something like that. Especially where you guys live. I got plenty of that.
I just had it that way after I was married either. Because I didn't always have electricity to cook with. At least that. Cobs was, well, I know after I lived here in town, the kids around town would deliver cobs to people to put in their stoves so they could have quick heat and then go out and wouldn't heat the house up fast. The house would cool down fast.
Right.
Because we didn't have air conditioning.
Sure, in the summertime you don't want it staying hot forever, for sure.
That's right, you didn't want that heat in there too long.
In and out as fast as possible.
Times have changed.
Yeah, they have. It's amazing how fast it's changed.
It would be fun for maybe about 2 or 3 days, but then to go back, that'd be the end of it. And then it wouldn't be fun.
No, I would imagine having to live like that. It would be a lot of hard work.
It would. It would be harder work than people want to do nowadays.
Oh, absolutely. People are so spoiled now with what they have. They couldn't appreciate what they have now. I can imagine what they would be like when they had to go back to those times.
We had telephones, and we had the country line, where everybody was, every time the phone would ring, everybody would run to listen to see what all the gossip was in the whole neighborhood.
You didn't have one person had one long, 2 short rings, and another person had 2 short rings, and one person had one long ring. Party lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
And once I was listening to the phone, we got a thunderstorm, and the lightning struck it, and man, my ears hurt for a long time.
That's why I say not to use the phone with thunders and lightning.
So, I think that I really do think that always made me afraid of thunder and lightning.
From the phone lines?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm afraid of it now, almost. I just cover up my head.
Yeah.
like some people like to go out and watch.
Me either. Dave will do that. I was like, what are you doing? Get inside.
Yeah, some people just go out and look and watch, but not me.
He goes out with a phone and talks to the middle of the store. I was like, are you crazy? Get in the house.
That's it. I don't. Then you got to worry about that.
Yeah. I was like, you're going to get struck by lightning. Those are transmitters. Oh, dear. Well, how did you do your clothes without any running water? How did you do your wash?
Put water on one of those big old cook stove, build up a fire, good hot fire, like cook stove. We had these boilers, these copper boilers like they have around in antique stores now. And then they put the water in there and build up a big old hot fire, get that hot water, get that water to boil, and then you dip it out into your washing machine. Of course, the washing machine, you had to turn it by hand,
Right.
And
was it like
turn the wringer by hand.
Right. Was the washing machine part itself, was that just like a big barrel type thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't electric, obviously.
I don't know how did we get that to boiling. I don't know. It seemed to me like maybe we had a pedal or something that we kind of pushed to get it going. But we never changed rinse water very often, I'll tell you that.
Close proved it, huh?
No, you didn't want to have to carry too much cold water, fresh water.
Yeah, especially when it's hot like that.
Their little batches of clothes, you'd always start with the white ones, and you end up with the overalls.
I wonder if that's why I have that bred in my mind now. You start with your whites and work your way down.
I just wonder, it doesn't make any difference, but it's automatic. You could just start anywhere.
Yeah, but I think it's still instilled in people's heads you have to start with your white.
I don't know. I know that's generally when I go to do my washing and plan it, that's what I do, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. I don't even think about why I do it. I was always supposed to do my whites first, and then I do my lighter colors, and then I do my darker colors, and I do my heavier colors. And I do them in that order.
I think that must be where we kind of got that habit.
Probably so. I would imagine so. Well, how far was your outhouse away from your house? Was that quite a ways out?
No, not too far. It was just in the corner of the yard. I suppose, I don't know how many feet.
Not too long in the middle of the night, I'll bet.
No, it wasn't too far. It was between the house and the chicken house. I was always afraid of chickens, and I was always glad that outhouse wasn't out there where the chickens could get in. Because I was always afraid of chickens.
That's funny.
I mean, and my folks would be gone maybe during the daytime, and they'd tell my younger brother and I that when we got home from school, if they weren't home, like for us to go out and gather the eggs and have it done when they got home. And I was scared of those old hens, and I'd get cobs, I'd get everything and throw at those old hens, try to get them off the nest and see if there's any eggs under. I'd have a whole nest full of cobs and sticks and everything.
And then go back and clean all that up.
Because I was afraid to put my hand under an old hen or pull her off. And my mom said that she never really scolded me for it because she said she was always that way herself. That was always one of her fears too, was those old hens on the nest. She never cared for that. I never did get over that.
Well, that's probably one of your least favorite chores. So that was probably one of your least favorite chores.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. I suppose. I can't remember. I suppose maybe whether we had, probably Dad had some pigs or something. We had to carry some old slop out too, probably. The old milk that was soured, we take that and put it in a trough for the little pigs. And I remember one time when we got home from school, and we didn't have much to do, and my folks weren't home yet, so Mom had one of these little sewing machines, you know,
right.
the old-fashioned sewing machine. She had that in the bedroom. So my brother, he thought he was going to learn to sew buttons on with it.
And he's going to work too well with
and
that.
we ruined her needle and everything. Oh, was she mad.
Yeah.
He tried to blame it on to me, and I wouldn't take the blame.
Good.
Shit.
Oh, good. Well, what kind of a garden do you guys have?
Mom never did have such a big garden. Because my grandma Darner, they didn't live, just about 2-3 miles back across the field. She always had a big garden, and she had enough for us two.
Oh, that's nice.
And then they would have one of these, what do they call them, fruit cellars or something,
right.
where they dig like a cellar down and then put their stuff in there in the winter time, because they didn't have freezers or anything, you know. They take and put their vegetables down in there, and they keep good that way. Then she'd share with us. And she had a big strawberry patch. And of course she couldn't stand up and bend over to pick strawberries. She'd just sit down flat on the ground and scoot along and have the dish pan and pick the strawberries. My grandpa, he wasn't too ambitious. I didn't think.
Left that to Grandma, huh?
But then he didn't have to be, because she was a worker, so he just let her work.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, she'd go out and pen the chickens up at night and all that kind of stuff, and he just let her do it.
Oh, she would butcher the chickens? Is that what you're saying?
She'd bake cornbread.
Uh-huh.
To start her little baby chicks on.
Right.
And then she'd take the cornbread and crumble it up in sour milk, and then take that and feed her baby chicks to get them started.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my grandpa used to do a lot of chickens, but I don't really remember a whole lot about them. More my aunts than my aunt and uncle doing chickens more than Grandpa. But I can remember them being in the incubator, being all warm and little and fuzzy.
Yeah.
They were neat. They were real neat at that age.
Yeah. And my grandma was always canning and, always doing something like that. I don't know if she ever sat down and rested. I remember that she did belong to the Ladies' Aid. That was the only social life she had. I don't know whether she ever got to go anywhere or she just entertained them. I don't know whether she ever got to go. And I remember one time she had Ladies' Aid, and I was just a little thing, I don't know. I reckon 3 or 4 years old. Mom took me to Ladies' Aid that day.
Was that like a big lunch and gossip session?
And they were having their refreshments.
Uh-huh.
And I suppose afternoon, and I know I had called under the table, the display, under the table. And they had served their refreshments. Mom said something about me. How was it? Something about, you're not through already, are you? I was just up playing around. And I said, it just embarrassed her to death. I said, didn't take me long to eat half a peach and a little juice. That's probably the last time I went to Ladies' Aid. I can remember her. And then we had one cousin, maybe my grandma's granddaughters, the oldest one. We always thought Grandma liked her better than us. Because when they come Christmas time, we always thought she got something a little better than we got. She would knit us a pair of mittens or so, but then she'd get this cousin, one of these fancy handkerchiefs.
Oh.
Something like that. And we were so jealous. She'd keep them over and then we'd always nudge each other when your grandma went to get past presents around. We'd just nudge each other because we knew that she was going to get something better than we got.
There's always one in the family, isn't there?
It seems like, yeah. And it probably wasn't near as nice and useful because those mittens that she would knit us was just what we needed.
Well, exactly.
Some fancy handkerchiefs, she didn't need that.
Yeah. The only thing I remember carrying hankies when I was little going to church.
Yeah.
My mother always made me carry a hanky. I don't know what the significance of that was, but I had to carry one.
Yeah. Grandma had one of these old-fashioned, I suppose they have them in antique stores, all of these hall trees.
What are they called?
Hall trees, kind of like it was tall, it kind of fit in the corner of the room, and then it had a sort of like a bottom in it. Kind of,
a hall tree, I'm sorry. Okay, I follow what you're saying now.
And it had a lid on it, and it was down in there where Grandma would put her Christmas present was back in that hall tree.
That doesn't sound like a good hiding place.
Yeah, and then as kids, we'd always sneak in there ahead of time and see whether she got that handkerchief and we got the mittens or what.
So even back then, kids snooped around for their Christmas presents, huh?
Just like kids do it now, then you get after kids if they do that, but they're all right. Kids don't change like you think they do.
I was going to say, some things never change.
Some things never change, and that's Christmas time with kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Because I can remember, because my mother used to keep our presents in her bedroom closet, and she always knew if we were sneaking in there looking.
Yeah.
She'd get so mad at us.
In the dresser drawer.
Oh, dear.
In one big dresser drawer. We knew which one.
Yeah. It wasn't a big, a big secret where she hid them. So where did you go to school at?
I went to country school about a mile and a quarter from where we lived, down a hill from where we lived. It was about, I don't know whether it was a mile and a quarter or not.
Seemed like it, huh?
Probably was just a quarter. It wasn't very far. I know that. I could been there in no time. If there was a big ditch along there, it was kind of went downhill, and then there was a ditch there with trees along there. Mom would take me. I didn't want to go to school. She'd take me about so far, and she'd turn around and say, "Now go on." She'd go back home, and I'd hide in that ditch.
Oh.
I couldn't go on. She'd come out a while later, and there I'd be. I'd still be down there.
How old were you then?
She used to have an awful time getting me to school.
How old were you then when you were hiding in the ditch?
But
how old were you when you were hiding in the ditch?
Oh, probably about 4 or 5 years. Not 5. I reckon we started school back then when we were 5, I think.
That's funny. Was it an all-day deal when you started going to school? You went all day, not like this half-day stuff?
Oh, yes. We went all day from 9 in the morning till 4 at night. And the people that lived, the kids that lived very far, it was too far to walk. They'd drive a horse and buggy, and the whole family would pile in the buggy, and maybe the oldest boy in the family would drive the horse, and that's the way they came to school. Then they'd tie their horse out in the pole shed during the day, and then when school was out, they'd go up, hitch it up to the buggy, and all bounce it, load in, the way go home. And I always thought I just had that little ways to go, and I always thought I had to ride. So they'd put me on the top. They'd all get in, and I'd sit on the top layer of all of the kids. We'd go down that ditch, and just the hollering and the hooping.
How old were you then?
I was about 5 or 6.
Oh, so you were just a young squirt then.
Yeah. I was one of them. There was one of those girls. They were girls about my same age. In fact, I think we went to school together for all 13 years.
Oh, wow.
She was about the same age I was, and that was a lot of fun. I had to ride. I couldn't walk that little bit.
Oh, dear. What was your favorite teacher?
I don't know whether I had any favorites or not.
Considering you're a school teacher, I surely thought you would have had one.
I had a one that was real nice. I always liked. Vera Beck was her name. She was a little distant relation, but she was an older person and more motherly like, and I always liked her. And I had one I didn't like. Her name was Stringfella.
You always remember the ones you don't like, don't you?
There's always one that's good and one that's bad, isn't there? And then when it come Halloween time, and we're gonna have a Halloween party, maybe dress up. Like the girls, we go out in the girls' toilet. That's where we change our clothes. We'd be out in the girls' toilet, and the boys, they go to their toilet down the hill a little bit. That's where, of course, they get down there and they get theirs done real fast. So they could get up there, and there was always, in these old toilets like that, they had a little opening up in the top like a little star or something. They'd hurry and get up there so they could peek in that star and look at us girls.
Oh, that's nice of them. Again, some things never change.
And we had one girl that she was pretty old to be in school yet, but she was tall and all. She was tall enough and big enough she could get up there and watch that hole. They couldn't peek in.
That's funny.
Oh, we used to have big time. Then we had a pond down there. Not a pond, but a little creek out behind, in the field behind the schoolhouse. They'd freeze over in the winter time. We'd go skating down there at noon, in recess. And in good weather, we'd play Annie Over.
Play what?
Annie Over, just, kids don't know what Annie Over is anymore, where you choose up sides, one side get on one side of the schoolhouse, and the other batch get on the other side. And you'd throw the ball, you'd try to keep them from throwing the ball over and landing on your side.
Oh, how did you do that?
Well, you would watch for it when it started coming. If you start coming over the roof, and then you would get up there and bang it back over.
From the roof?
Yeah. But they were just, they weren't very big.
Oh, it's like an older age volleyball game.
They were just, I don't know, the ball was about the size of a baseball, or small baseball, maybe.
That sounds neat.
Yeah, and then we'd take our lunch, probably in a syrup can, molasses can, or something. We didn't have all these fancy lunch boxes like they have now. And then we'd set them on a shelf out in the entryway where they'd stay cool, where the food stay cool till noon.
What would you normally have for lunch? Like a sandwich or something?
I don't know. I expect peanut butter sandwich most of the time.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, you couldn't, you had to be careful, something that would keep,
Yeah, you don't want it spoiling.
No. And we had one boy at school that could draw real good.
Could draw?
He could just draw. He could draw horses. Man, we all wanted him to draw us a horse. We thought he was a real artist. We'd trade him anything out of our lunch if he'd just draw us a horse.
That's awesome. I love that. That's neat.
Yeah, it's strange. After I had my 90th birthday, I got a letter from a girl that had lived here in town, telling me that her dad had gone to school with me at this schoolhouse, and he had written her and told her about it and told her about some of the things that he remembered. And she wrote me back and told me all about it. You know, it wasn't very long after, and he died.
Oh.
They thought he was, at the time that he wrote this, he was in the nursing home. And they thought he was doing real well. His wife had died. They thought he was doing real well. And his daughter, the letter I got from her the other day, she said they thought he was too, and they lived in Wisconsin, but they had gone on a little trip. And while they were gone, he passed away.
Oh, well, that's sad.
Yeah, they had we got this new community building here in Fremont. They started now, got it about built. And that was one of the places they had designated for the memorial fund was either the church or the community building. So I sent her a contribution for the memorial building, and I got this reply from her the other day, and she was telling me about his death and all.
Aww. Well, isn't that neat that he had her contact you?
He went to school when I did down in that little country school. He was older, or probably about my age, but he wasn't in the same grade. He wasn't too, he was a little stupid maybe, but they moved around a lot. That was their problem.
Yeah.
His folks moved around a lot, and they never got to be in school like he should. You know? Not that he was stupid, he just didn't get promoted.
wasn't well-rounded.
A lot of people did that back then. You know, they just moved around a lot, but the kids never really were in the school long enough to get promoted.
Right. Well, yeah, when you were moving around a lot, that's why I always wonder how military families do it. Because it's like, you know, you go from one school to another, and you're bound to fall behind because they're not all teaching at the same level. No,
that's just the way it was. I remembered one family. There was quite a family of them here, and the youngest one was a little girl, and I think her mother probably sent her to school a little early to get rid of her because she had quite a family. But anyway, I can just remember that little girl getting up in front of the blackboard, you know, working on the blackboard and wetting her pants.
Oh.
She'd want her pants and the water be down on the floor underneath her. She was so embarrassed.
That's sad. That's sad.
Poor little thing, but she couldn't help.
Oh, that's sad. Poor little girl.
yeah, she'd been dead several years. There was quite a family of them.
Yeah. Well, did you ever get in trouble at school?
I probably did.
I tried to shut that part of you like that, huh? Anything you remember you want to share?
One I did maybe when we were playing Andy over. Somebody broke a window. And I think maybe I was guilty, but didn't want to admit it.
What did he do?
Broke one of the windows in the school. And then I know, too, out in the entry, the cloakroom, we always called it, where we hung our coats, and that's where we put our lunch boxes. And we had a water fountain that had out there. That's for our drinking water. That was one of these kind of crockery ones.
Right.
And I know one time I knocked that over and broke it.
Well, that was an accident.
But I might have got punished for it, I don't know. I was mighty careful after that, I'll bet.
Did you ever do anything on purpose to get in trouble?
What?
Did you ever do anything on purpose to get in trouble?
Not that I know of.
That's funny. So how, other than the Halloween, what did you do for Christmas and that kind of stuff? How did you celebrate the other holidays?
At Christmas time, we always had a big Christmas program. We had curtains that we'd put up and pull across the front of the room, you know. The people would sit in the back of the room, just in the school seats. Oh, sometimes across the front they would put some plank on something that let people sit up and the kids could sit up in front a little closer. But we had these curtains that were on wires like we string across, and then we'd do our performance behind those. Whenever we was ready, they'd pull the curtains and we'd perform.
Was it like musical performances or skits or shows?
I was always pretty bashful. I never liked to perform.
Were they
Some of them were the other way. They'd like get up there and maybe say a piece, a big long piece. Well, I never wanted a very long piece, and I never wanted to have to get up and sing or anything.
Was it more religious based or was it more generic as far as?
It was just the same old. They just took the teacher's desk out, and it was just the same. The blackboard was still there. Sometimes we'd maybe hang some decorations down around the blackboard.
Was the theme of the Christmas program, was it more religious based? Or was it more
probably, yes. Songs we sang, yes. Yeah, we always sang these religious songs like Came Upon the Midnight Clear and all this and that, you know.
Okay.
That was more our theme. Also, and the little pieces, I guess, that we spoke, so they didn't have to be. I don't think they were. Then Santa Claus would come. Some of the men in the neighborhood, a man would be dressed up as Santa Claus. He'd come in the front door with his bells a jingling and have a little sack of candy for us and that kind of stuff.
You didn't come down the chimney?
No, he didn't come down the chimney. He'd come in the back door.
Oh, dear, that's funny. And do you remember any funny stories or pranks that were pulled when you were at school?
Not when I was little, I guess. I remember when I was in high school, the kids, when it come Halloween, the big boys, they put everything up on top, put things up on top of the schoolhouse. How they ever got it up there, I don't know.
Like what?
Like wagons and outhouses.
I mean, that'd be a chore.
Yeah, and the next morning they'd have to get up there and get it down, too.
That's probably worse.
I wouldn't be surprised if what Dave could remember what they used to do in high school. They don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's funny.
Of course, we don't have the big high school like we had either.
Right. Then, in the summertime, what were you guys doing in the summertime when you were younger? When you're in middle school or high school?
I remember. I can remember when I suppose would have been middle school, I reckon. That was about the time Olive's mother died. And she came and stayed with us during that time quite a bit. And I took music lessons up town here. And I would walk up. I had to walk up on the afternoon, about one afternoon a week, to take this music lesson. And Mom, she made Olive and I a dress just alike. Olive walked up with me, too. I can remember that little dress real well. And just like some of those things that you kind of like to live over.
Yeah. Were you taking piano lessons?
Right?
Were you taking piano lessons?
Yes. Yes.
How old was Olive when she started to stay with you guys a lot?
Uh-huh.
How old was Olive when she was staying with you all a lot?
I think she was about 11, I believe, when her mother died.
And then she stayed with you she didn't live with you guys. She just kind of came over and frequented a lot?
Oh, she stayed with us for a little while till she got a homesick for the rest of her family, for her brother. And her brother was, I think he went to stay with her grandmother. And she got homesick. So then she went and stayed with her other grandmother and her brother.
Okay.
Later, but she stayed with us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I really thought it was nice because I never had anybody but boys to play with. I thought it was great to have a sister.
When she left your place, she didn't move very far though, right? She pretty much stayed around with you.
You mean when she left to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
So she went down to Hedrick, and that was where her other grandmother lived, where her dad's mother lived. And they lived with her. But she went to school down there. And then her dad went to Oskaloosa to work, and her brother went up there with him, and she went up there for a short time with him too. And I don't know, it seemed like one thing led to another till she just finally got married. And then after she got married, I guess she and her husband lived with my grandma Donna for a short time, because she really had no home. And they lived with my grandma Donna for a while. So she was always real close to my grandma Donna.
Did you get the opportunity to see her very often then, once she moved away from you guys?
What?
Did you get an opportunity to see her very often after she left your house?
I'm not no, I didn't see her. And then she eventually went out to California. Her dad went out there, and she went out there for a short time. I never knew that till I read somewhere where she had been out there for a short time working after her dad went out to California. I kind of lost track of her there.
Well, how old were you when you first met and became friends?
What?
How old were you when you first met and became friends? You and Olive.
Met who?
When you and Olive first met, how old were you?
Oh, well, we always lived close together.
So you kind of grew up together?
And the guys, they just were, they just lived pretty close. Close to my folks always when we were little, and as soon as I was old enough, I guess, to get out and see somebody, we knew each other.
Oh, that's good. So you basically grew up together.
Yeah.
So you've pretty much known Olive all your life.
Yeah, she just, because I always wanted a sister, never had one. So she took my sister's place.
When did you renew your friendship after Olive left? Because you said you kind of lost track of each other for a while.
You mean after she went out to eat there?
Well, you said after she left, you didn't see her very often, and then she went out to California.
Well, I don't know. Then she came back. Her husband went to service, was in service, and she was alone, living down there in the country. And I went down there and spent weekends with her, and that was, it just kind of got closer then because he was gone, and she had no one there, and he was over there in what they called Battle of the Bulge or something. Over there in the war, he was had quite a siege over there.
Was he in the army?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Then he became after he was out of service, and he became mail carrier for a while. And I think he kind of went to mine. Kind of got bad, I think, towards the last. So she really never had too much of a happy life. He was in the nursing home over there, and she'd go over to see him, and he hardly knew her. But wasn't very nice to her, and all. Said she felt like she should go, but it didn't do her any good or him any good either.
Well, you think he might have had Alzheimer's before it was really diagnosed?
Yes.
That's probably what it was. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
bad thing.
I think that's probably what it was. That, so she really didn't have too many happy memories of her later life.
Oh.
Her early life of losing her mother. You know, she didn't have too many happy memories of her mother. So she just really didn't have the best life. But she, I think, until Junan and Rachel were her best pals.
Those are her two daughters?
And Stephen, their Junan's husband, was he was real good to all of them.
Yeah, he's a nice man.
Yes, he is.
Nice man.
Yeah, I don't think she. I often wonder how she could have taken her later years without having him in the family.
Oh. Yeah, he seemed like a real nice man from when we met him. So where did you get married?
Where?
Uh-huh.
I think he was from Ireland. Whether she went over there in mission work, and I think that's where they met and were married over there.
Oh. Okay, other phone ring. Not very opportune. Now they can look good. Okay. Where were you married?
In Missouri.
You were married in Missouri?
Yeah. That's where everybody in Iowa went to get married.
Why?
I don't know. If they didn't have a big wedding, that's where everybody went to get married.
No kidding. What was the draw of Missouri?
Huh?
What was the draw of Missouri? What made people go there as opposed to get married at home?
I don't know. You didn't have to go through a lot of tests and all that. You just go down and get married. You didn't have to get blood tests and all this and that. You just went down and got married.
It's like the Iowa's Las Vegas.
Iowa was stricter, I reckon. Probably. I don't know. And if you decided tonight you wanted to get married tomorrow, you just go down to Missouri tomorrow and get married.
How did you meet Waldo?
When I was teaching school, I taught in the district where he lived with his folks. It wasn't too far. The school house yard was down on a tagged-in part of their farm earlier. And it's sort of a coincidence that back when my mom was teaching school, the generation before that, she had taught in the same district in an older schoolhouse that was there at that time.
And did your mom know his family from before?
No, not my mom was gone then, but my mom was young.
Uh-huh.
She had taught.
At that same school.
Her folks had lived down in that area, and she had taught school. I know Dave told me once that sometimes they'd be working in the field on down a little farther from where the school where I taught was, and they'd run into bricks that would be in the ground. And that would have been where my mom's old schoolhouse was when she taught school.
Oh, wow.
That was kind of a coincidence.
Yeah, that is neat. So how did you meet Waldo? Did you have just a coincidental meeting, or?
I had to...
he wasn't hanging around school, was he?
I had to walk. See, the school was about 2.5 miles off the highway. And in the winter time, when the roads would be drifted shut, I was living at home then and driving back. I would have to leave my car up at the on the highway and walk that about 2.5, 3 miles down to the school. And I'd have to go down and build the fire. It was a nice schoolhouse I had for there, and I had a furnace and everything. But I would have to go down and build my fire, and in the morning I'd fix it at night, but it'd always be cold. In the morning I'd have to go down and build my fire and do my sweeping and that. I guess he volunteered to do it for me.
Oh, that's nice.
He just lived up the hill a little ways. Oh, I don't know. Not very far from where the schoolhouse was. And he volunteered to go down and do it for me. And I thought that was pretty nice.
It is pretty nice.
It was pretty nice. I'd go down there and fire would be going, and at night I wouldn't have to stop and sweep. He'd come down and have my floors all swept up, and next morning when I got there, that was pretty nice.
Yeah, too bad you couldn't keep that trend going, huh?
Yeah, I guess it was a trick, wasn't it?
Yeah, those men, they all know how to play them, don't they?
Back then I was about 20, let's see, about 20, I guess. I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah. Was he your first love?
Well, not really. I don't want to get into all this. Not really, but I have read, and I kind of think it's true. I have read that you have to have about that it's your third one that you really marry.
That's probably about right.
Did you ever hear that?
No, but I think that makes sense.
And that varies, I'm sure, but that was my case.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of believed in it, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then, how old were you when you went to college?
Well, let's see, 17.
You're 17, so you probably graduated out of high school around 16.
Yeah, I was 16 when I graduated, and then my birthday was in August, and I was 17 in August when I went. And then I went a year, and I had this school that I couldn't, back then you could teach in for 1 year.
Oh, really?
But I couldn't sign a contract because wouldn't issue contracts until you were 18. So I had my school. I had to wait until I was 18 in August before I could sign my contract to start school in September.
What grades did you teach?
All grades.
All grades.
Yeah. I don't know if they had kindergarten or not, but that's first grade, I think. We didn't have all this preschool and all that.
Yeah, that's just the recent. That's more like babysitting services for people who aren't getting it.
Yeah, I didn't. But I had one. I had one family that had two girls, about a year apart, and the older one was in first grade, and her mother, she was a gadabout, and she was and the younger one that wasn't old enough to come to school, she'd send her to visit. That way I had to babysit with her. She could send her to visit, while she's out gadding around. But the funny part about it was, this last year I had an occasion to call that girl about some other things.
The younger one?
And she remembered me. And when I had my night in, I had a nice card from her.
That was the younger girl?
Yes, the younger one.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because in the second year, I was there 2 years. The second year, she started to school through me. And I had a nice card from her, and she said, I remember you as my first grade teacher.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, and then I had a card, too, from the next school that I taught. I was there 2 years, and I had a card from one of my girls there that was in the 3rd and 4th grade, and I was taught there. And she sent me a nice card remembering me as her 3rd and 4th grade teacher.
Well, that's cool. So how long did you teach?
I really felt like it was worth what I did.
Oh, yeah. For somebody to remember that many years back, and to write you, and that's an awesome feeling.
Yes, it is. I really, I cherish those cards, I'll tell you.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
That's really neat. How long did you teach all together?
About about 5, pretty close to 5.
So why did you leave it?
Why did I quit? Because
Uh-huh.
the school I was teaching in then, it was, in the meantime, after my first school, I went back and took some summer school so that I could get into a little better paying job. And when I got there, that was one of their rules that they did not hire a married teacher.
Oh, why not?
Oh, I don't know. Just other stupid feelings, I guess. I don't know whether they thought married teachers had too much help on their mind or not. I don't know.
And you were married at the time then?
Yeah. So I was ready to quit anyway. I thought that I wasn't getting rich like I thought I was gonna. I was making $100 a month then.
Wow. I guess you weren't getting rich.
And on the other two, the first two that I had schools, I made $45 a month.
That was the first two?
The first 4 years I taught.
Wow.
$45 a month.
How did you live? It's not much money, even for back then.
Back then, I stayed at home, and of course, it didn't cost then like it does now.
Yeah.
So you can see why I was glad when I was down there in Waldo's district to get somebody to sweep the floor and build the fire for nothing.
Yeah, really. How long had you and Waldo dated before you got married?
But,
How long had you and Waldo dated before you got married?
well, let's see. About a year and a half, maybe.
What kind of things did you do?
Off and on.
Off and on?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. When you went out, what kind of things did you do? Go to movies or go to eat dinner? Or?
We had a place uptown here.
Had what?
We had a place uptown here, the building is still there, the two-story restaurant there on the corner, and they had their bar and stuff was downstairs. But they had their juice box and that kind of stuff upstairs, and that was the hangout for kids. And that's where all the couples lived. And his aunt, he had an aunt that was much younger than him. She was not too much older than I was, and we were good friends. And I guess that's kind of what helped get us together too. With her,
Well, that's neat.
she had another boyfriend, and she threw him over, and she got another boyfriend that was more like our crowd, and we used to spend Saturday nights there, and that was the good old days. And his favorite song was, and I tell him that every time I look over at my neighbor snores, I think of it. His favorite song was, "If you got the money, honey, I got the time."
I can see that from him.
He never did get paid at home. He never got paid in money for working down there. His mom never paid him in money.
Yeah.
They bought a car, and then they would put gas in it for him for Saturday night. That's what he got for working all week.
Oh, dear. What was your favorite song?
Oh, I don't know what mine was. Not that.
I hope not.
I don't know. I was a little more sentimental, I guess.
Oh, dear. Yeah, Waldo's a little more on the wild side, huh?
Yeah, he was not that. In his younger days, he was not the sentimental type. He never had a chance to be, because all he ever had to do was just work for nothing, you know.
Right.
It was just get out and get something for nothing or however you can get it.
Well, did you ever go to movies and stuff?
No, I can't remember when we ever went to movies. I guess maybe that's why I'm not a movie fan, and maybe that's why. I don't know. I can't remember if we. He used to go before we were married, and if we'd have a spat, he would go back down to Tummel. There was a place down there in the basement of the hotel where they had some wild parties down there. He'd go down there on Saturday night if we had a spat.
Oh dear. So you went to Missouri, you got married, you had a small wedding?
It was just a justice of the peace. That's all it was. I don't know whether they even played any music or not.
Did you have any of your family there?
His parents.
I'm sorry?
His parents and his sister.
Your parents weren't there?
No. My parents didn't like his parents.
Uh-oh. The truth comes out. Aw.
He didn't like the way his parents treated me and my kids and him. And in fact, I always thought later that I believed he said that Waldo thought more of my parents than he did his own. Because they could be hateful. They were that kind of people, but all they thought of was money. That kind of people. Never doing something for nothing or helping people. There had to be money involved. They had to come out with money. They were always that way. You know, there is people that way. Now, he got that from they got that from his granddad and his grandmother. She was a nice lady. She was a nice, kind, helpful kind of a person. But there was one side of the family that was the other way. And I always get thrown in that bunch.
So there are a bunch of characters, huh?
They could be so hateful to me.
Oh, dear.
And I did try to do better, but I never could do good enough.
Well, there's some people you just can't please. I've come to that conclusion in my life. There's no sense trying.
They could be so hateful to me. His mother. Now, his dad wasn't. It wasn't his dad. It was his mother. She could be so hateful to me. I'll never forget the time I went over there. We went over there one Sunday, which was a mistake in the first place. That was when Jane was a baby. And I had her bottle with milk in it to take along, you know. And when I went home, I forgot and left the bottle. I didn't take it home with me.
Hold on a second. You need to keep him quiet there. You're on the phone. You need to keep him quiet. I'm on the phone. I'm sorry. Dave got home, Booker gets all excited.
I don't know. It was a long time after that when Waldo was over. Elementary school. She sent that bottle home with him to me, and it still had our milk in it.
Oh, dear.
So that was the kind of a person she was.
Yeah, that's pretty cruel.
Yes.
That's
she could hurt you.
Oh, that's mean. See, somebody would do that to a little baby, especially.
Yeah, she maybe didn't like me, but she didn't need to take it out on my kids.
On a baby? Oh, your kids are on a baby. That's insane.
Oh, no. That was just her nature.
Oh. Well, how long have you been married before you started to have kids? Right away, or did you wait a while?
Let's see. Married in January, and I didn't have any the next year till I didn't have any that year. And then December of the second year, however long that would be.
Yeah, close to 2 years.
Be close to 2 years. When where if you just say you were married in 1 year and you had kids in the next year, it sounds like you had them right away, but it didn't. I was married in January of the first year and didn't have any till December of the second.
And were you excited or were you disappointed you had a girl first?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
What did you think about having a girl first?
Oh.
Or did it not matter?
I don't know. I was probably pleased. I don't know. Back then you didn't worry about that and go see what you're going to have and plan to have a certain one.
Right. Well, I do know sometimes on farm families are disappointed when they don't have the boys first.
Yeah, you just took what you got. Made the best of it.
That's right. Well, what was the town like then? Fremont was it different then than what it was like now?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Fremont was back in those days was a jumping town.
How so?
Yeah, we had a hotel with the bar and everything in the basement. And that was a hopping place. And we had 2 banks and I don't know how many filling stations. And it was a hopping place then. Not all we can speak for now is Casey's. If we didn't have that, we'd be up the creek.
What do you think was the demise of the town? I mean, what do you think made it people move away from it and leave it and have it kind of deteriorate?
Yeah. I don't know. People are coming back or interested in helping the town to recover from some of its loss in the years. And I think that people are beginning to have a little more interest in this town than they did. I don't know. I think maybe this new community building that they have, maybe going to try to bring this town together.
Do you think it will ever be the same as it was back that you remembered as a young person?
No, I don't think it'll ever be. I don't think it'll ever be that sort of a community. I think it will be what do I want to say? I don't know how to say it. I think it's just going to be a community of more or less the moneyed people.
With more what?
As the moneyed people.
Okay. So you think more of the money attracted as opposed to community?
You know, the people that have got money. I think they're the ones that are going to try to determine what they make out of that building, and maybe be the ones that will say who and what we use it for. I can't see it being just a community of the common people from all walks of life. I can't see that yet. I was hoping it would, but I can't see it yet.
Well, it's a shame because it's a little tiny town, and it's a nice little functional town, and it kind of almost reminds me a little bit of where I grew up, and they restored that village, and it's actually nicer now than when I was growing up there, because when I was growing up, it's like what Fremont is now, kind of falling apart and not really well taken care of, and then, years later, they put, a lot of different money and a lot of different interests. They've really developed it to a functional place that it probably was, back in the early 1900s.
Well, so I can see it. The times have changed so that it, I guess we can't expect it to get back.
Right.
In the same spirit that it was back when it's like in the olden days, people didn't have places, any way to go any place, so they made the best of what they had.
Right.
And now things are different. And I just don't know how they're going to handle that. Whether it's going to just be for the ones money and can control, or whether it is going to be for just the average person and everybody. I don't know. That's what I'd like to see it be, but I'm kind of afraid it might not be. I don't know.
Well, you still got Margaret around. So keep her for a while.
Still got to be good to her. You know, her
Make an
place
offer
first thing
to
in
her
mind. Tell her I don't wish her any bad luck, but I hope she can't sell it.
That's right. So you have to have a place to come back to.
Yeah, and I don't think she really wants to sell too bad. I don't understand. But it's what would you do?
Yeah. I think she thrives on that
place. All I'm doing is what would I do?
I think people that like her, really thrive on their work and the people they work with, and
she likes to cook.
Exactly.
And she likes to be around the public.
Exactly, and they thrive off that. And you can see that she does. You can see she enjoys it. So giving people a hard time and.
She gets, sometimes she gets tired trying to put up with the public, but then she turns around and goes the other way and realizes what they've got to put up with. So,
exactly. Yeah, she's a good woman. So.
Yeah, yes, she is. I just don't know what I'd do without her. I try to be as good as I can to her, because there's nothing in the world she wouldn't do for me.
Oh, that's awesome to have somebody in your corner like that close by.
Yeah, you just have to, and I can put up with a lot of other things that maybe out the place I don't like, but there's nothing she wouldn't do for me.
Right.
So
that's wonderful to have somebody like that nearby.
Yes, it is. I could just, there's nothing I would ask her to do for me that she wouldn't do.
Now, when you had a young family, like when Dave was a kid and, all the kids were young, what did you guys do as a family to celebrate things like Christmas or, some of the big holidays, Halloween? What did they do? And
what do you mean, my own immediate family?
Yeah, Dave and Jim and, the kids, Jane.
Oh, when they were all
very young and growing up.
Yeah. I see.
What kind of things that you know about?
Well, that's probably a good question right there, the ones I know about.
Because I'm sure there's things you probably don't know about.
But I tell you, life was always the doggone short. We didn't always get to do everything we wanted to do. And, I don't know, we would have our own family home, and we never had big spreads of food. But then Jane got married and had kids. Well, sometimes she'd have us at her house, and she was the same way. She didn't have a lot of money, but we all took what we had and just lived together. I think we appreciated the fact that we were all together maybe more than people do now.
Right.
I think now they try to see who can outdo who.
Right, exactly. I think you're right about that, too.
Yeah, they try to they want to outdo everybody. But then that was the least of our worries. If we could all be together, regardless of whether we had turkey or whether it was just chicken, it didn't matter.
Right. Well, what kind of prankster things did they do during the Halloween season? See, we're into Halloween now.
I don't know.
Did they dress up and go trick-or-treating?
Yeah, the kids, when the kids were young, they'd go trick-or-treating, and there was one lady down in the south part of town that always pulled the best popcorn balls. She was about the only one. The rest of them did get a little popcorn or something. But Dame Muffet always made the best popcorn balls. Boy, they go early down to her. She lives in the south part of town. They go down there early, so they get down there before they get all the popcorn balls away. I never forget that.
What kind of things do they dress up as?
Oh, they didn't do a lot of dressing up. They put on an old shawl around maybe, and have a mask. A mask was the main thing back then. I don't know. Maybe it is today. I don't. But not the kind of mask they have now.
Well, yeah, no.
not that kind of. They think, it's just mostly. A lot of it would be homemade stuff, You just take some of your old clothes and put it together and have a costume.
There you go. Imagination.
Yeah.
They don't have too much of that anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Halloween a big time at your house? You have a lot of trick-or-treaters?
No, because we're up on top of the hill and nobody wants to climb the hill. Isn't that ridiculous?
I don't get. Last year all I had was kid that does my yard. He and his wife brought their 2 little kids down, and that's all I had.
Yeah, we don't get too much.
And Jane got me, before she left, she got me a bag of treats, candy treats, trick-or-treat for kids.
Uh-huh.
I told her that she wouldn't need to get one that big. That was just, I'd have to eat a whole lot, because those 2 little kids that they bring with them don't eat much.
The little kids across the road don't come over?
I just don't believe they believe in Halloween.
Oh, okay, because of religion and all?
Some of these Christians and Amish don't, do they?
Mm-hmm.
They think that
it's a pagan holiday.
They think there's too much witchcraft about it. I was reading in the paper.
But when we were growing up, when we used to do stuff for the church, I mean, we went for UNICEF. Did trick-or-treating for UNICEF, pretty much what we did.
Yeah, that's the way they used to do it.
Yeah.
They used to go to church, and then the church would kind of organize them and take them out, And then they take them after they did what they got would be for UNICEF, and then they take them back to the church and they have a little party for them. But they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't. Not too much anymore.
The church isn't involved this year.
Huh.
I don't know if they got their program in the paper. The church is not involved one bit. All it is going having hay rides and winter rolls and all that.
Huh. I mean, because I can vividly remember, every year, me and my friends, everybody went to church together. We would go, and we lived way out in the sticks. So we would go house to house and do, the UNICEF thing. And people would volunteer to drive us around, and we would drive from home to home to home. And,
they used to come in here from the country, the country family bring a bunch of kids in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even do that anymore.
I guess with all the crazy stuff that's out there anymore, people are too afraid that they're going to get something bad.
I don't know. It's got to be something big, and often like, I don't know.
Well,
I remember these kids across the street. I don't remember. I know they didn't come over to my house last year, and I didn't see anyone going over there. But that doesn't mean that they didn't.
Right.
And I just wonder if they do believe.
That's possible. Yeah, it's probable. Well, what about, I know that Dave's real fun. I think his favorite holiday is the 4th of July. Did you guys used to do a lot of different outdoor things for the 4th of July when they were growing up?
When I was a kid, the 4th of July was a big thing.
When you were a kid.
Parades and parade get up early to get to the parade, And then after the parade, with my great aunt lived in town here, and then she'd have us all there for dinner. Boy, that was a big day. But I don't know whether they do anything 4th of July here or not.
Huh.
It's just patriotism is kind of gone by the way.
Yeah, man. I thought maybe it got a little better after 9/11, but now I think it's going back down again.
Yes, I think you're right there. I think that I don't like that.
No, I don't either. I remember the same. We have parades at school and in the town, and then come home
what it was? You knew what the 4th of July was.
Right. Saw the fireworks off the lake, and
you're supposed to ask the kids nowadays what the 4th of July signifies?
I think that all they think about anymore are the fireworks, if they get to see them.
Yes, that's all they think about is who can have the biggest fireworks.
Right. I think they miss the meaning of it.
Yes, I think so. That's all it was here last year. I know someone on Oskaloosa, and when Oskaloosa had big fireworks one night, and someone had the next night, and I was trying to brag about who had the best, and that was about it.
Yeah. When your kids were little and young, did they still have quite a few different 4th of July activities around town?
We had this in our home, or they could have them down around the buildings and stuff, you know. We never had, town never had any, as far as my kids can remember, I don't think.
Like the parades and that kind of stuff, they kind of had gone by the
wayside. There was one, about every so often, about every 5 years, they'd have what they called homecoming parades. But it was never 4th of July. They would kind of call them homecoming. And they'd, maybe decorate their bicycles and that kind of stuff, you know. They'd decorate them in patriotic theme.
When was that? When was that done?
Yes. It is. I think we've lost our feeling of patriotism, and that's bad. I feel for the military that's over there giving their lives. I really do. I wonder if it's worth it. I don't know. I hope it will be. I feel for them.
What do you remember about World War I? Were you pretty young then?
Yeah, my younger brother was in World War II. He was low. He was in World War II. And he was one that went out, one of his duties or jobs or assignments, I reckon he'd say, was he'd go out over the battlefield and look for, collect their dog tags, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a terrible assignment. Jeez Louise, how depressing.
Yeah, that's about all I can, I remember it. I remember when he was there, he hadn't been married long. I can remember that. That was a very good assignment.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that'd be very, very depressing.
Yes, that would be something to come back and haunt you.
Yeah, wouldn't really want to be bragging about that for sure. I mean, it would be something that would be.
It was
something you want to talk about real well.
It was a job that somebody had to do.
Right.
And it was probably a job that.
And a very important job. I mean,
an important job that some people really appreciated later, but weren't able to show their appreciation.
Sure.
So, and I think about the Vietnam War too. I think about that. I wonder if that was in vain. I don't know.
You had Dennis was in the Navy. Or was he in the Army? Dennis, he was in the Navy at the time, or was he in the Air Force? What branch was Dennis in?
See, my brother was in the Army.
No, Dennis.
He was in the Slow.
No, I know. So what branch was Dennis in?
Dennis, he was Navy.
Navy, okay. Dave was Navy.
Yeah, they were in Navy at the same time. I was, the gal that was here today, we were talking about service and her family and so on, and I said, I just don't know how these families today, with all this technology, we can see all these pictures of everything. I don't know how the families can stand to see it. If you had someone over there and they were beheaded and you see on TV.
Oh, I know.
As I'm being beheaded, how can you handle that? Wouldn't that be awful?
Yes, I think it is. I think that there's certain things they should never be showing on television, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
You know, you just feel your heart goes out to the family.
When Dave was on my carrier, had I known every night on TV what was going on down in there, I'd have probably been worried to death.
Sure.
But I didn't know. And I was just as well off, better off.
Right.
How would you feel if you looked tonight and your son or your husband's head was laying over there?
Exactly. No, I agree with you there 100%. I just think that's one of the worst things they could ever do to a person.
I think there's a limit. They should draw a line somewhere.
Exactly.
But you know, these TV stations anymore, it's anything for news.
Well, they thrive on it. I mean, they absolutely thrive on it.
And
what kind of feelings did you have when you found out that Dave was going over there?
in fact,
So what kind of feelings did you have when you found out that Dave was going over there?
well, I guess I didn't like it, but back then, there wasn't a whole lot for kids to do in the way of jobs, you know, unless you had could go to college or something, which I couldn't afford to. So I guess it just was, that was just, you might say a job.
Right.
It wasn't a job of choice, but what was it for kids to do if they couldn't go to college and everything? So, but after, and I worried a lot.
I can imagine.
I worried a lot about both of them. And I don't know, I worried more about one for a while, and then I worried more about this.
We don't play any favoritism there. Well, did Dennis actually go over to Vietnam or no?
And do you think, how do they feel about this now?
Dave?
Yeah.
I think that he never really expressed to me how he felt. He said he was so busy, he didn't have time to feel. And I kind of believe that, because they worked him like dogs, you know. I'm sure he probably was scared, you know. When you're in a position like that, and he probably was in a better position over there than most people, or in a safer position. But, you know, he tells me, you know, and I ask him questions about it, because I was just a kid then, you know, young person.
Yeah, and, you know, a kid that had never been away from home much.
Right.
You know?
And I think that was frightening, you know, for him. I bet it was. But
just being away from home was a big thing for him, you know, a big adjustment.
But when I asked Dave stuff about it, you know, he just says, you know, stuck in the bottom of an aircraft carrier, and I was working my nose off, as he put it. You know, and he had time to sleep, and, you know, not much of that, and then you were right back up working again until you went back to bed the next, you know, time.
Yeah, and they planned, I wonder if they, at that time, knew all of what's going on either.
Well, I wonder about that. I don't know. I'll have to ask Dave that. I really don't know if they knew everything that was going on at the time, if they were well informed or not.
Not like they do nowadays.
Yeah, right.
No, now they know, it's like they know everything and before it goes off.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, in relation between WW2 and Vietnam, what kind of thoughts did you have? When you found out that Pearl Harbor had been bombed, what kind of was going on through your mind with that?
Oh, I didn't. You know, at that time I was busy with my family, and we hadn't been married long, and we were busy trying to survive, you might say.
Right.
And I can remember it very well, the time, and but it just didn't make dent in me like it would now. If I heard that something like that was happening,
right.
I thought it was awful. I know that, and I wondered what was going to come of it. I can remember very well when they did it. Lola was working out in the country for a guy in the field. field, and I went to pick him up in the evening, and I heard it on somehow or other. We had a little old car at the radio. I don't know how we afforded that, but we did, and I heard it on that radio. That was the way I found out, and that didn't. I somehow or other didn't have enough. I don't know, enough knowledge or what to know if it might affect us later on. It was just something that was way over there. We weren't knowledge-wise. People weren't as close as they are now. That was a long ways off then.
Right.
And
well, I think families probably in your time were probably more centered around the same area as opposed to these days where they're more spread out.
Yes, they were more. It was just more
centralized and
more family communities than there is now.
Well, how do you feel? How did you feel comparing World War II and Pearl Harbor to when September 11th happened? Did that affect you more? Huh?
I just could not. I didn't know any. I just didn't have the radio or TV on the morning when 9/11 struck, and I didn't know anything that was going on until I think it was Janice that called Jane, and Jane called me, or vice versa, and I could not. I just could not believe it. I just didn't think anything like that could be possible. And I got to thinking out, and then the longer I thought about it, the more disgusted I got about our security.
Right.
Government. The central, the CIA and all that. How they were handling our security.
Right.
And the more I thought of that, I think that aggravated me.
Well,
I got kind of angry.
One of the things that bothered Dave and me really badly was the fact that they were able to put a plane through the Pentagon. And not because so much it was so close to home, which it was, but the fact that that's our nation's central of command for our military. And I think that's what bothered us the most. How in the world, I mean, this is supposed to be our central command of our military. How in the world could they ever get a plane through there?
Yes.
That was...
And that almost angers you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And I think that was a part, too, that angered me. There was a slip up somewhere. There was somebody responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever pinpointed that? Or does everyone deny?
I think...
I don't think, does their investigations ever did they ever let it get anywhere?
Right.
That's it.
And a lot of things I get tired of hearing from it. It almost goes back to what you used to do when you were 5 or 6. It's not my fault. You heard a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like, grow up. You're in your 50s or 60s, and, take responsibility.
That's right.
Instead of passing it on to your brother or sister.
Yeah. It all goes down to responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people in smaller things than that don't take responsibility.
Right.
One day when I was talking to Jay, and that's been a long time ago, and I thought that was shortly after 9/11 and all, and we were talking about what we're going to have to do to keep our country safe. And I said, well, we've got so many of these young people that don't have jobs, and growing up don't have a job. I said, maybe we just ought to send them, let them. They're the ones that ought to have to go.
Right.
Oh, she says, I didn't want them to be responsible for my country. She says, they don't know what responsibility is. But then I read the other side. They do know. I've read different times. Don't worry about these young people.
Right.
And their responsibilities. they will take responsibility.
Yeah, given the proper kick in the pants. Given the proper kick in the pants, they'll take the responsibility. Yeah. Well, they don't have to. That's the problem.
I wonder if there's any of this younger generation that will take responsibility.
I think there's a lot more out there than the media leads on to believe. I mean, I think a lot of people, young people, I mean, you take people that are my age or a little bit younger than me, they've never experienced really, I mean, I was quite young when Vietnam was going on, and they really never experienced any issues of war and issues of nation crisis. And they're kind of, a little bit on the spoiled side because during the 80s, the economy was very good, and 70s, more or less the 70s, pretty good. And, these kids don't know what it's like to be hungry or not have money or not have to make do, and that's not really their fault. I mean, it's just the way things were. But I think given the proper assignments to people and those kind of the national type securities, I think they'll take over and do what the right thing for the most part.
I think all they need is leadership.
Exactly. The proper whatever I want to say, the proper cheerleading deal.
Yeah.
The guidance and.
I want to see that they do it.
Exactly. Someone encourages them to do it.
If they do it, they'll do it.
Exactly.
But everybody, not only just these kids of today, that if you can get by, they're gonna, kids are gonna try it.
Right.
But if you got a leadership or a supervisor that will see that they do it, or else they'll do it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
How do you think that things in the country have changed for the better or for the worse since you were growing up? Since you were growing up. Do you think things are better or worse? There's a loaded question.
That's right. You asked me one day, and my answer would be different than another day. I get awful disgusted with some of these people that want to take the glory for what they did. Because maybe there other people, had they had the chance, would have done something just as courageous, but didn't have that chance.
Right.
It's like those ones up there in Pennsylvania. They get all kinds of recommends and all kinds of good stories. It's how they took over, everything. How do we know that some others, had they had that same chance, wouldn't have done just as well, just as much, maybe more?
Sure.
They'd have done just as much. I can't. I just don't think that we should give any one group more credit than another. The one, that I can't think of the name, was her husband. He was in a big office, and how was it? She got up early and she went to work and left a note under her pillow. You remember that story?
Right.
Yeah. And then she didn't make it, and he did. I always liked his attitude.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't take the glory. But he gave her the glory. I always liked his attitude. But I just don't know. And I think that might be the case in a lot of places.
Right.
Instances. That had they been asked to have done something, they would have done it. But they just weren't asked, and then the ones that were asked got the glory. So
right.
I don't know.
Well, I think that's how Dave and I feel a lot with the fire department and the police department, and they were, going on and on and on about how wonderful and how great they are, and they probably were. I mean, we're not debating that, but in the same token, that's their job. That's what you sign up for. And I have the same feeling about the military with the National Reserves and that kind of thing. Well, they didn't have any problem taking the money, putting it on the weekends. But now that their country needs them and says, hey, this is what we've been paying you for, now they've got a problem with it.
Yeah, now they're getting all the glory. But they were there when it was good, weren't they?
Right. And
they had those weekend vacations. It was great stuff then.
Exactly. And the money they took month and month and month for, some of them years.
Yeah, I had two neighbors, my two South neighbors were in the National Guard back then. And I always had a bitter feeling towards them.
Right.
Because of that.
Mm-hmm. But with
now they're both big shots.
Of course.
But they're not in the Guard. They got out in time.
What kind of stories do you remember about the Great Depression? Because you were probably in your teenage years, maybe, or maybe older.
My folks went through the Depression, where they bought their farm, borrowed money, and had no way of paying for it. They went through that, and it was rough. It was rough, but somehow or other, they just stuck together. The family, the man, the wife, stuck together. They didn't panic and want more help. They made the best of what they had. And my folks went through that. And I'm sure there was times that they had to do things that they'd rather not have done. But they had to do it to survive.
Right.
We didn't have welfare. No, you didn't have welfare. It's going to bring you something to eat if you didn't have it. You had to figure out a way on your own to have it. You had to get out and work for it somehow. I think that's ruination of our country with this welfare.
I agree.
The
crying of, my great-great-great-grandfather was a slave, now you owe me something. That was then, this is now. And you go back to Africa, areas, and they're all enslaved. Not all of them, but I mean, there are many, many tribes over there that are enslaved than their own people. Yep. So were they any different here?
No.
So, if anything, they should be thinking, sometimes I think they should be thanking us for getting them out of that situation.
I have that right in my neighborhood that I just don't bear. I can hardly sometimes be civil to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, well, it's fair. I guess. If it's fair, she don't take it. Maybe if people don't take it, it would be tempting not to take it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of, I guess, am stubborn on that end because I feel like I want to do it for myself. I don't want someone handing me anything and having me to say I had to be handed that.
Yes, they never. Back when they were young, she and her husband and could have worked, maybe not for much, but they didn't.
Right.
They sit around and do something else.
And whine and cry about how poor they are.
Yeah. And now, then when he got old and sick, and they put him in a nursing home, and then the nursing home, they were kind of condemned because it was dirty, and they were going to move him, and she said, you don't need to bring him home and dump him off on me, because I'm not able to take care of him. Mm-hmm. So they take him to one of the nicest nursing homes around.
Right.
My husband was sick too.
Exactly.
And I wasn't too much more able to take care of mine than she was hers, but I didn't come and take him and take care of mine.
Right.
No, I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And now she knows everybody's business, has more, and they take care of her little old dumpy house. Mm. She's got to have heat. They give her money for heat in the winter time. because she's got a granddaughter that's married into money and got all kinds of money and takes her with her when she goes down to the lakes and stuff. Uses her for a babysitter down there. But you can't take her down to her house and keep her warm in the winter time. No, I got to pay to keep
Right.
the little house warm for her in the winter time.
Right.
No, that's not right.
Right.
That's what makes me so mad that when they say, you know, your heat bill's going to go up and all this and that, and I don't give a shit. I'm going to stay warm. I have to go on over.
There you go. I agree with you.
It does. It just, you know, she knows everybody's business. She just sits out on the front porch and watches everybody, and then you'd think she was knew everything when she gets on the phone, criticizes this and that one, and I don't like it.
Right.
But at the same time, when they live on your street, you got to be civil.
That's true.
Oh.
Well, sometimes that's true. I don't talk to people across the road. Dave and I both say there's nobody that lives over there.
She's that song, you know, she's always got that sad story, you know, because the kid across the cattywampus saw her. He comes over and mows her yard for nothing. I suppose she gives him that sad old story that she's all broke and nothing. And nobody comes and mows my yard for nothing.
Right. Exactly.
It's hard to be civil to people like that.
Yes, it is. You're very right. So.
It's been there for years and years and years.
Well, what would you say, Helen, was your proudest or happiest moment in your life? There's a question.
That is a big question. Well, I think one of my proudest, and it wasn't only mine, feeling was when Jane was in high school and was playing basketball, and you know, we didn't have the money and everything. I mean, like most of the kids did on her team, but she kind of outshone them all. And I think that probably made me about as proud as anything.
That is a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what she realized that or not. And, you know, she didn't have the money to spend to run around like the kids did. And after games, she'd go down and stay with an old lady that was afraid to stay by herself at night. She'd go down and stay with this old lady at night after the games. She'd walk down there and stay with her while the other kids was out having a good time.
Aww.
That sort of made me proud.
Oh, I bet. That is a neat moment.
And made all of us proud.
What would you say, now the opposite of this thing, what would you say was probably your most, something that you maybe regretted or wished hadn't occurred, or I guess, I don't know.
Something that,
maybe something you weren't so proud of.
Something we maybe regretted.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Or did you have any? You may not have had any regret.
I just don't, it's just kind of hard to, I know there are things that I have regretted, and, wish I, you know, hadn't been like they were. I always, well, I don't know. I always kind of wish I could have maybe done more for my kids, and I did. But I guess they all made it. You know, a lot of kids had all kinds of finances. Help my kids never had. financial help.
Had what?
They never had the financial help that a lot of kids have, you know, in families. Some people, their families can financially help their kids to where they can, you know, really become something. And that always kind of hurt me. I don't know. But I guess I shouldn't have been it because they all
turned out swell.
they all took care of themselves pretty well.
That would be a good lesson then you taught them.
Yeah, then I turned that around to the brown side.
There you go.
But at the time, you know, I regretted it. I regretted that my kids maybe had to wear hand-me-downs, and my mom used to have to make clothes out of old clothes and all that kind of stuff. While the other kids, you know, had new things, other kids in school. And at that time, that was regret. That they didn't let it bother them. They didn't let it keep them down.
Well, you know, I think when you're a kid, you don't really think that much about that kind of thing either. You have what you have, and kids are more interested in being kids.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
You know, kids don't.
I think it bothers the grown-ups more than it bothers the kids.
Yeah, the kids, so what to them?
Right.
You know, I can remember I used to, when she hadn't even started to school yet, and I tore up an old coat of mine and made her a little coat, a new coat out of an old one of mine. And, you know, that didn't matter to her. She was as proud of that. But it hurt me.
Aww. But she was proud to do that.
When we go over to Waldo Slopes and you know, Estes had a granddaughter that was about the same age, and they always saw that she had something, you know. Judy always had, she always had the best of everything. We always figured she had a second Christmas for Judy, and she'd always we always figured on the second Christmas with a wristwatch and all that, where my kids, when they went, they got a flannel shirt or something. That's why when they would have to go, they were shoot, Mom, do we have to go? Oh, we're going to get the flannel shirt, and you know it. A flannel shirt and a coloring book. But they lived it down. They made it.
Yeah, we survived.
That's right.
It makes interesting stories for your grandchildren when you get older.
Yeah, it probably hurt me worse. It may have known worse than it did then. That, you know, she always tried to let on like she thought so much of them, and I would fool them, I know.
Yeah, no, you can't fool children. They know how you feel. Especially kids have a sixth sense and that kind of thing.
When they got older, it wasn't her they thought about. It was their other grandma.
Right. What kind of thing, if you had to do it over again, if you had to do it over again question, if you had to do it over again, would there be anything that you would change in your life and do differently?
I just don't know.
Or would you live things pretty much the same way? Because were you happy with how?
I don't have too many regrets in my life, except when my kids were growing up. I would like for it to maybe have been a little easier for them. I think that's my biggest regret, that it didn't hurt them.
No, it didn't hurt them at all.
It didn't hurt them as much as it hurt me.
Yeah. No, because we didn't have much money growing up either.
And maybe that was the best thing that could have happened to them.
Right. That's exactly right. Because now they know how to take care of themselves, where kids that are handed everything don't.
Yes.
That's a big lesson.
They know how to take care of themselves, and they know how to respect people and have friends.
Exactly.
That is not what all all of the young ones. You can't say that for all young people anymore.
No, you can't.
No, yeah, I don't think you can say that. They may think they're doing okay, but how many real down to earth friends do they have? If they were up in a tough spot, how many friends do they have? You know?
Right.
That's what counts. And I know that my kids aren't that kind of kid.
No.
There's not one of mine. If they had someone was in need and they could help them, they'd do it.
Well, I know that from personal experience with being here with Dave, and he sometimes just is awe to me that
Yep.
where he'll go to help others.
Yes.
And the extremes he'll go, and, darn near give him the shirt off his back, and probably has an occasion just to help them out, and that makes me love him that much more. I really am proud of him during those moments. I mean, really.
It's kind of tough at the time when your parents at the time, but it's probably a good thing for them when they get older. Those kids can take care of themselves and help take care of someone else.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
How do you feel now about turning 90? How do you feel? Did you ever think that you were ever going to see the age of 90? And now that you are 90, do you feel 90? do you feel, like you've experienced everything in life that you might want to have experienced? And do you feel content being 90? And because you feel good and you're healthy for the most part. And how do you feel about being 90?
Yeah. I have different feelings on different days. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been kind of tough weeks. I guess maybe I have to admit that I got kind of depressed, and I have gone through a lot of other things, sickness, death, losses, and never got as depressed as I did maybe a week or so ago. But I got out of that. It was tough, and I don't know how I got out of it. I do think that Mario, able to go out to the street, helped me a lot with that. And then Jane was here for quite a while, and I think that helped me get out of that.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know whether I could have with myself done it or not, but I've got out of that. And
do you think maybe your fall,
I hope I never get in it again.
Do you think maybe your fall may have had something to do with that?
Yes, I think it did. It made me, I don't know, it kind of impressed on me that the first thing that hit me was I'm not able to take care of myself anymore. I always thought I could, but that was the first thought that hit me. I can't take care of myself anymore. I never wanted to get to that place. And then, just sitting here not being able, to do it, and feeling sorry for myself maybe, made it worse. But then somehow or other I thought, this is for the birds. This isn't living.
No, it's not.
And so I just decided that there's got to be a better way. So, and I think having these little kids to cross the street from me and having her, she's such a good woman.
Aww.
They're a good family. And I think that they had a lot to do with me I've had acts like this, and I think that, and my kids were all so good, calling me, and, and there was just one of my kids that I was a little disappointed in.
Oh.
And but then I have to stop and think, he's always he's just not a sentimental kid. That's Jim. Jim is not a sentimental child like the other kids. I think probably he keeps his feelings to himself. I'm sure that, I hope anyway, he doesn't really down deep in his heart feel that way. Maybe there can be, and it's close. It's not that, 2 hours and he can be down there.
Right.
Or he can, if weekdays I'm so busy, but he could call me maybe once a week.
Right.
He just doesn't think of it, I don't think.
Oh.
He gets involved with his own neighborhood, and his neighborhood thinks the world of him. And I think he's just a different makeup that way. And I think, too, one thing that he was maybe when he was growing up, he was closer to his dad than he was me. Maybe that's it. You reckon?
Well, maybe it's older boy in the family deal too.
Yes.
Yes. I think older kids in a family are different genetic makeup than the younger ones.
Maybe that's it.
I kind of believe that.
I think when they're the older ones, when they're young, when they are the young kids, but they're the older in the family,
right.
They take things more serious.
They're more serious, and I think they feel more pressure is put upon them.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know. There's more responsibility put them on. Maybe. Yeah.
I just try to, because he'll sometimes he won't call me all week, and I don't expect for him to call and maybe spend an hour talking to me.
Right.
But sure, 10 minutes in the evening would have done a lot of good to me.
Right.
But he just doesn't realize that. I don't think. And but he did call me the other night. That was last night. Yeah, he called me last night. He talked and talked. Well, I was in the bathroom when he called, and I just let it, see him get it, and he said he'd call back later. Then when he did, he just talked and talked. And he wanted to tell me that now he gets Monday off. And he came down last weekend, and I always wondered, I was hoping he would come. Not come last weekend, he'd come this weekend when he'd have Monday off and spend more time with me. And because he hadn't been down for a while. And he told me last night that they were planning on going down to Kentucky to Nancy's sister when he had this extra day now. So, and he talked talked and talked. So I felt better when he got through.
Good. Good.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry.
I said something about, when he was down last weekend, I said, well, don't be so long coming back, though. Come back a little sooner next time. And I said, don't forget now, Dave's going to be home for Thanksgiving. And he said, I'll be back before Thanksgiving.
I would hope so.
I
don't think he's got their move out there.
I hope he remembers that.
Yeah,
they're going down to her sisters in Kentucky this weekend.
I'm sure.
That's okay.
Well, is there anything else that you might want to add, or that we haven't gone over, or anything else you might want to add that we haven't maybe gone over that maybe was a highlight in your life or a low light, or?
I don't know. I think I don't know. One of the big, I don't know how to say it, probably one of the biggest things that maybe kind of changed my life around and our life, although my life around, was when he quit drinking. And I had a more stable life, and I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I like to remember. And I try to think to the people that helped him do it. And I'm sure that they're proud of it too.
Oh, for sure.
So
That's a big hurdle to jump.
I think maybe that's one of the, probably one of the things that I thank the Lord for every night is that I know that we did have some good years. We had our life probably up until then was probably it wasn't the best life. But after that we had a good life. A good life together.
Oh, good.
We went places together. I saw things and we did things together. We planned together. And but it took a long time, I'll tell you.
I'm sure.
And it was worth the wait. And we, I talk about the places I've been, and then Kiki will say, well, Mom, I didn't know you and Dad ever went that much. And I said, no, when the kids were around and all, they never do it because we didn't.
Right.
But now when things changed and we got that life together, we saw a lot of things. We went places and saw things that a lot of people never have. Things I never dreamed of doing. So it was worth it. It was a struggle, but it was worth it. That was several years of it. I don't know how long. There was long years of it. And my kids, I always kind of regretted my kids, when they were growing up, never saw those good years. You know, if they could have seen some of the good years, I'm sure that they would have felt differently about their dad. That's life.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you live and you learn.
I guess we can't, but you know, you have to live and learn. You live by mistakes.
Yes, you do.
You learn by
And
mistakes.
hopefully you learn by
You really learn. I'm sure I have myself. I've learned by mistakes, and I know that he learned by his mistakes a lot.
Good.
Maybe if he hadn't made those mistakes, he would never have learned some of his good points. So I have to look at it that way too.
Right. Well, that's a good way of looking at it. It's a positive way of looking at it.
Yes, and that's the way I kind of like to, look at the closing years of my life. That it took a long time. It took a long time for me to learn. It took a long time for him to learn. If we could have only started learning earlier, we could have had a better life. But when we had it, it was good. So.
Well,
Has Dave got home yet?
yeah, he just got home. Yeah, he's actually been home for a little while. He just said he had to take Blizzard outside because Blizzard enjoys having a conversation with him. And I couldn't hear him, you over him, and then go outside.
It's Thursday, is it? I can't keep my days straight.
It is. So
I have to look at the paper sometimes to see what day of the week it is.
I was supposed to have class this evening, but the professor, had something going on or something, so she said, well, I'm not going to bother having class tonight. So I was like, well, okay, I'll do this. Get my interview done and over and get everything written up for the weekend, and then by next Thursday, because it's due next Thursday, I'll go ahead and hand everything.
Now when you get this worked up, I'd like to see it.
I certainly will send you a copy of it.
I want to see it. I want to see if it looks as good as it sounds.
Well, I've had a fascinating conversation with you. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Quite honestly, I really have. I've learned a lot about you and your family and growing up, and I love history.
There may be times I got carried away that might not look too good in print. I don't know.
Now, how did I do as being an interviewer?
Well, I wondered where you were getting all those questions. Sounded to me like you were some big psychology teacher or something.
Well, I got on the internet. That helped a little bit.
I see. I remember.
Some of them are mine.
I remember one class I had, and I went back to some extra classes I had in my head, and I quit work that I might like to go back into some teaching or something. I wasn't ready to quit working, but anyway, I went up to a night class up at Penn, and I had kind of a funny old teacher, and he was always just popping things at us, and so one day we was always have to get up and give a little speech. Maybe about 5-10 minutes, and we never knew when he was going to call on us. And he left me with this one, and the question was what do you have to do every morning so that your husband starts out feeling good? What do you have to do? Make sure that he's starting out feeling good for the day.
So make a pot of coffee?
I thought a little bit, but it didn't take me long. And I said, well, I got to see that his egg is fried just right. If his egg does not feel fried right, his whole day is spoiled. He like to never got over that. He didn't imagine anybody's day being spoiled because the egg wasn't fried right. I didn't know he was that way. If his egg wasn't fried right, his whole day was spoiled.
He said, you don't know my husband very well.
Is he that way?
Pardon me, no, my Waldo. Although Dave has certain ways he likes his eggs too. But he doesn't let it ruin his day if they're not done exactly the way he wants them done.
Sure.
I'll tell you, me going back to school, he's been a real trooper through all of it. He's been very patient with me, and it's been, some days I've had, rougher than others, and, I'm a little moodier, and he's been real patient through it, so I have to give him credit for that. I'm real proud of him.
Yeah. And I don't, not playing any names or anything anywhere, but I wouldn't be surprised that there are people in your family that think you're kind of stupid when they go back.
Yeah.
Are there?
Well, I don't know if they don't think doing that, but they think, why am I bothering? I think they question what I know what you're saying.
Yes, but why are you bothered? Why take your time up for that?
Right, and that's been a big question. I think, if I was going to do this, but...
Yeah, you're satisfied with what you got,
Right.
You're right, but I'm that way, too.
Well, nursing and medical stuff has kind of always been an interest of mine, and it's kind of something I wanted to do when I was in school, high school, and even when I was a kid, when people would ask me when I was a kid what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would either tell them a doctor or a vet. But my parents never really gave me a lot of credit for my brain power. So, kind of discouraged you.
I would never, ever criticize anybody for wanting to go on and do more, in education and stuff.
Right.
I wish my kids, that was one thing I was always kind of disappointed in my kids.
Right.
They just didn't go for the college and education and that.
Right.
And
they're all very bright kids. Most of them,
they are.
Right. I mean,
without doing it, think what they could have done had they gone.
Because I always said that to Dave. You should go. Take this. And I can't be bothered with that. That's just not his interest or his thing. And but
I just as long as I was able, I always had hopes. After I quit work anywhere else, I still went back to school. I had hopes then that I wanted to do some more teaching and some more, go to school more.
Right.
But then I didn't get to do it all, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, and that's my deal, is it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of time consumption and it's a lot of money to do it, but it fascinates me. I love it, I enjoy learning. I've always been that way. Something that interests me, I'm studying something that interests me. I mean, it's got my full attention.
Well, after all, it's your life.
Right. So.
It's your life. Don't let others try to tell you what to do with it. It's your life.
And I've had people ask me, not necessarily my family, but I've had people outside, friends and people from work and that kind of thing. Why am I doing this? And I tell them that, well, first of all, I joke, I tell them I'm going through my midlife crisis. It's easier than having an affair. But, I tell them, I can't make a living. I'm getting too old to do the physical field or the horticulture field. I mean, it really is getting very, very physical, and you're competing with men, and you're never going to get anywhere. I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And in the veterinarian, I make good money where I'm at. I make reasonable money. I don't make great money, but I make reasonable money. But if something happened to Dave, I couldn't live off that salary.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And if we decided to move, I couldn't get another job working in another vet clinic making what I make now. I'd have to start all over again. Yeah. But with the nursing field, I could live on my own, pretty, not easily, but certainly reasonably. And on top of that, I could move and get another job in the nursing field and still make the same money.
Probably, yes.
And I'd like to retire someday. And I'm not getting any retirement funds going anywhere else. I've been working, so.
Yeah, you've always got the future to look, think about. That's right. You can't just live for today.
Exactly. And I kind of have to think about that. I would like to be able to have a little bit of money that I don't have to work till I'm 90 years old.
That's right.
I want to be able to enjoy my last, 30 years on the earth.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but that's probably the biggest reason. And it's a field I've been interested in a really, really long time.
Yeah, it's a big decision for both of you.
It has been, and I think Dave was a little worried about it and whether, I would be able to deal with it and, work full time and take care of the house and do that kind of stuff. But I think he sees now it's been a year and, my grades are good and, he sees that I am committed to it, so.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. Well, Dave did tell you I got accepted to the nursing program, didn't he?
What?
They did tell you last weekend I got my acceptance letter in the mail from the nursing program.
And I believe he did. Yeah. Was it last weekend?
Probably, because I haven't had the letter very long, maybe about a week and a half or 2 weeks.
But then it was last weekend. Yeah.
So that was exciting for me.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, well, and that helps you.
Yes, it does. It gives you a little motivation. So.
It feels like you're more appreciated.
Right. So yeah, we've got that, and been dealing with a little bit of difficulty on my family side. I found out last Sunday my sister's got breast cancer.
Although, that's what Deborah called me the other day.
Yeah.
And among other things, she told me that.
So.
It was a shock.
It was extreme shock. Of course, my mother's beside herself, and just.
No doubt. I can understand that, too.
The end was coming, so.
But, that she's not the only one dealing with it.
Right.
you never know.
Right.
You just never know what. I know one lady that used to be my neighbor. She never had any inklings of breast cancer. Her husband died. She remarried. His wife had died with breast cancer, and I don't think they'd been married very long until she found that she had a lump in her breast.
Wow.
And she started her treatment, and she is happier and looks better than I ever saw her look.
Well, that's good.
And she's not young either. I mean, she's in her 80s, I'm sure.
Oh, wow.
And I had a letter to her from her. Well, she wanted to come, had planned, or it was her excuse for not being my open house, that her husband now, this one she has now, has cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she's busy taking him for treatment all the time.
Well, that's a lot to put on your plate. It really is.
It's just something that you have to meet head on.
Right.
You just can't let it get you down. I just wonder how she's going to take it now.
Well, I think my sister's a pretty tough woman when it comes to dealing with issues at hand, and she has a tendency to hit them straight on, and her and I are actually alike in that respect, you know, just take our punches and go with them, and you know, my mom's having a hard time dealing with it, and, you know, and I'm...
She's the one that needs... Now, is your sister...
Now, my sister, she's 49. She's the oldest.
I thought she was older.
Yeah, I'm the youngest in the family.
Yeah.
But she told my mother she's planning on going to work tomorrow. After surgery today, she's planning on going to work tomorrow, so...
Yeah.
God help her, go for it.
She's not too old to fight it.
No, she's not. She's pretty
ambitious. She must have been, I think she was close to 90 when she married this guy. Well, I mean, close to 80 when she married him, and they've been married now for, probably 8-10 years.
Wow.
So, and she's just going strong. The last I saw her, she looked better than I ever saw her.
God bless her.
Yeah. So, you know, there's always hope.
Yes, there is. So we're not giving up on her. We're going to see her through it. And they said that they felt they caught it early, and
that's the main thing, I think.
Yeah, I need to give her a quickie call this evening before she goes to bed and make sure everything was okay, and go from there. And but apparently she had her surgery this morning, so.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, so I guess we'll see how that goes, and I guess she's going to have to start some radiation treatments, and Mom was kind of sketchy on that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I did put over mid intake, but he was so good, and they live up around Ella, so she had doctoring in Des Moines, and he took her every day up there to Des Moines to the doctor for her treatments. Now she's taking him, so. And I think he must be about her age. So, so they know what it's like, both of them.
Right. Well, and then they can feel a little bit compassion for each other and what they're going through.
Yes, that's right.
That helps sometimes too. So, well, do you want to yell at Dave real quick while he's still on?
If he's there.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I'll get him for you. Yes. He's trying to brush the dog out because I took him to working today and gave him a bath and full fur. Holy fur. Hold on. Oh, he's not.
my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't, it went way back when Shane was in school and stuff. And then I got to thinking, well, that was a proud time. But I think the proudest was probably on my 90th birthday when all my kids, like living kids, were there. And I got to share my love with all them.
Aw. That's neat. I'll make sure I put that in there.
You could add that.
I will. Definitely.
I thought I'd make a good closing.
Yes, it will. It'll make a perfect closing.
Yeah. I got to thinking about that, last night after I went to bed, and it was just kind of on my mind all night. That I just kind of thought that would be maybe my proudest,
Yeah.
And
well, it was a special time. We kept your birthday going forever.
yeah. So I'm glad you called, because I was thinking, well, I didn't get to talk to you, but I tell Dave Sunday when they called. But now you got it, and you can work on it.
And I will. And if you think of anything else, give me a call and let me know, because I'll have plenty of time to, edit things in and put things in. And
yeah, I just, kind of going over everything in my mind. I don't think of any. And another thing I did think of, too, was you said something about, one question was, did I remember anything of my, about when I went to high school?
Right.
Then I got to thinking about it, and I remembered how I used to ride. A girl would come along with her horse and buggy and pick me up, and I would ride with her on to high school. And then I'd help her and hitch her old horse, and she'd put it in a barn up there. And so we had to go pretty early in order to get all that done before school took up.
I guess. You weren't skipping school, were you?
It was, I don't know how many years I did that. I didn't do that every year, because, but that was when I first started to high school. So.
Well, it must have made a memorable trip.
Yeah, that would be, I got to thinking about stuff last night, after I went to bed, kind of reeling some of them old days over.
Well, that's cool.
No wonder I was tired today.
I bet. You didn't sleep all night. Oh, I should have answered it this way or that way.
And then I had to get up early this morning, because this gal that took me for my flu shot told me she'd be here at 8:30 this morning to pick me up.
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
She was here.
Good.
And I was ready, but I got up pretty early.
Well, that's because you're up late watching the St. Louis win.
I had a big nap this afternoon.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, if you think of anything else you want to add, make sure you give me a call, okay?
Yeah, I sure will.
Okay. Well, let you talk to Dave again, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, Helen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you called.